good morning to my YouTube friends. I hope you're having a wonderful day. It's beautiful here. The birds are singing. The sun is shining. It's going to be hot. It's Tim and Tammy time. Tim's at work. We're just going to have a little chat here. Please like. Please subscribe. Thanks for watching. And we love y'all. I'm going to tell y'all about our adventure, or rather, our misadventure on Saturday. We went on Saturday. We went out filming, and we went in search of an abandoned scope. And I'm happy to say we found it, and you know, it's neat. And that video will be coming up soon, probably Wednesday. Don't hold me to that, but maybe. But on our way there, we found there was just so many abandoned houses. Disappearing South series. These are houses that are old and falling down, roofs coming off of, porches falling in. You know, the houses that people hadn't lived in 30, 40 years. Maybe. I can't ever actually say that and know it's a fact. So we leave from over there, and we're planning to go a specific way. Well, actually what we did, we leave from over there and we get to the turning point. We can go left or we can go right. If we go right, we go back to Phoenix City, we have lunch and come home. If we go left, we go to Eufaula. Well, there's a restaurant in Eufaula, it's a barbecue place in Eufaula that we really like, so we decided to go left and go to Eufaula because it was about the same distance. However, Phoenix City was a lot closer to home. Anyway, so we go down to Eufaula, and then we cross the state line, come into Georgia over at Georgetown. And as we're riding through, we're making our plans on where we're going to stop on the way back, on the way home. We're going to go to a couple places. There's a abandoned church over there that we've been to before that I'd like to go see what kind of state it's in now. So we were planning to come by there. And then we talked about possibly going over to Providence Canyon and not actually going down in the canyon because it's just too hot right now, but filming from the top because you can film a lot of the canyon from the top. So that was our plan. Well, we could, if we went straight, we would have come out headed home quicker, but we were planning on turning left and going up, I think it's 39, headed that way. Well, right before we get there, the battery light comes on. Battery light, as far as I know, has never come on in our car. So Tim says, well, you know, the little bit we know about cars, we're thinking, you know, as long as you're driving, the battery's not going to just die. I mean, it's not, is it? No. And, you know, other things don't enter our mind because we don't have enough experience with how to fix a car. We don't. I mean, I don't even want that experience. I want to leave that to the mechanic. But Tim says, well, you know, we can still go, and I'll just stop, and you can get out and do the filming, and I'll just stay in the car with it cranked. And I said, let's head on home. I said, let's just go on home. It would just be better. Let's go on home. So we head on straight. We don't turn left. We're headed on to the house, and we do stop over near Casita, Georgia. Well, it's right, I guess it's in Casita, Georgia. There's a new gas station there, and we stopped, and we needed to stop. So I ran in, used the bathroom, and picked out what Tim wanted. He sat in the car and left the car cranked, and I got everything, got back in the car. We head on down the road, and we're on the Fort Benning reservation, and all of a sudden, every light on the dash comes on. And then the car just dies. Literally, it just dies. So Tim pulls over onto the emergency lane. Well, there's a big barrier on the right. There's a concrete barrier. And if you went over the barrier, it's just, you know, it's really high vegetation, and I wouldn't have wanted to get out and try. But anyway, you don't have very much room. You're between the road and the barrier. But it's just enough room for the car, and there's a little bit of leeway. So we stop, and everything's dead. The radio goes off. Everything just dies. So I said, see if you can just turn the key. Don't turn it over, but turn it where it'll, you know, come on a little bit. Let's see if we can roll the windows down. And we could. So we rolled all the windows down. We took off our seat belts. Now, you know, that's what we did first. We changed our mind to put them back on, but we took them off to start with. And then I started working to get in touch with roadside assistance, because one good thing I do have through my insurance is roadside assistance, and I recommend everybody who doesn't know how to do anything to their car get roadside assistance. It has come in it come in really handy. It took care of things that needed to be taken care of. So we got all the windows rolled down, and we're sitting there, and I'm trying to go through the text thing to enter the status or enter the request, because I needed a tow. We needed a tow. So I go through all that, and I get frustrated because, you know, I'm not quick texting. I'm getting old, got arthritis in my thumb. It's not as easy as if they would just talk to me, but they wouldn't talk to me. So, or they didn't talk to me until they got ready to. So I enter the request, I get it all handled, and it gives me a list of 5 places that are my choices to have the car towed, and I don't know anything about any of them. So I picked the one closest to home. I feel like it was a blessing of God. I think He directed me to pick the one that was closest to home, because we had a good experience with them. But anyhow, I picked that one, and then it has this little bar here, and it says, as soon as you're matched with a carrier, a local carrier, we'll let you know. So Tim said, should I go ahead and call Mom? Because, you know, here's my 57-year-old husband, and we're going to call his mom, who, he's 57, so you do the math. And he's the baby. You do the math. So we're going to call Mom to come pick us up, because we didn't know if we would be able to get in the tow truck or not, which turned out not to be a problem, because we did actually call her. I left the request. I said we were with the car. We were going to stay with the car. But y'all, after being in that hot car, now, let me let you know, we had cold water. We both had our Igloo, whatever they're called, bottles of water, and it was cold. It's true, and it come in real handy. We don't usually go anywhere without cold water with us. That's something we learned a long time ago. So we had our cold water. We had all the windows down. We're sitting there, and we told them we'd be with the car. Tim has called his mama, and I say, if she gets here first, I'm leaving. I'm not going to stay here. So I went back into the information thing and tried to chat, and I think I did. I didn't know if I had or not, but I told him, I said, I got to leave this car. It's too hot. When the ride comes, we're going to leave the car. Advise me what to do. So after that, I didn't get a text back, and it didn't ever show up that somebody was coming. So we're sitting there, and I said, well, there was a good breeze coming off of them cars because they were so close, and it was a traffic. Oh my goodness, there was so much traffic that day. So they asked the question, everybody from roadside assistance, whether it was texting, whatever, they said, are you in a safe place? And I said, yes. But then me and Tim are sitting there talking, and I said, well, we are off the road, so that is a safe place. I said, but, if somebody comes this way, I said, it's not going to be safe for long. I said, well, I shouldn't put it that way. I said, if somebody veers off just a little bit, I said, they could hit the car. And we put our seatbelts back on because we were worried that somebody would come up, hit us from behind, and that would just elevate everything. And it could have been really a terrible thing, but nothing like that happened. So we're sitting there, and we're waiting, and it's just getting hotter and hotter, and I'm about out of water. And finally, this all happened at the same time. Tim's mama pulls up. She pulls off the road in front of us, and my phone rings. Well, I'm going to answer it no matter what the phone number is, no matter where the area code is, I'm going to answer it. So I answer it, and this young woman comes on, and she says, first thing she says is, are you in a safe place? I said, yeah, but I'm fixing to be in a safer place because I'm going to get in my mother-in-law's car because it's going to be cool in there. I said, it's hot out here. And she talked to me about the heat for a minute, but then when I got out, I said, wait a minute, don't talk, I can't hear you. That's something else old age does for you. You got traffic right beside you. You can't hear a thing. So I get up in my mother-in-law's car, and it's cool in there. Well, you just have to know Tim's mama. We've had water, that's true, but she doesn't even speak to me. She's handing me a bottle of Gatorade, which I consumed as well. But the woman on the telephone, she says, well, go over to your text, and I sent you a text, and before you leave, do something. All I had to do was push a button, or push a link. And of course, I'm older, and I got a little confused, and I said, am I supposed to hang up with you to get to my text? And I know young people laugh at me, but It doesn't matter. I got the information to her, and then she said, okay, now y'all go. So we left. And then we got home, and I told Tim, I said, you're going to need to call where they took the car to, because, you know, the car's just going to show up. They're not going to know anything about it. It's just going to show up. So he goes over and he calls and he explains to him. He says, I need for you to tell me step by step before you do anything how much it's going to cost. Because that's the way it is. When you live paycheck to paycheck, you got to tell me how much it's going to cost, because I might not be able to pay it. So they were really nice. And they told Tim that they were going to do some kind of test. It would cost about $34. And then they would call him and let him know what they found out. Well, Tim paces. And he paced all night long. He was waiting. They closed at 6 o'clock. So he decided at 6 o'clock he would go. He'd just let it go and quit worrying about it. So we paced for a few hours, and then he let it go. Well, we got 3 other phone calls from the roadside assistance, each one wanting to make sure we were safe, the car got where it was supposed to be, we got back home, which was really nice. And then I got 2 texts asking me to fill out reviews. But anyway, there's no way to make a long story short. I love it when somebody says long story short, because it's too late. This is a long story. It's not going to be short. So we go to bed. We get up the next morning. We get ready for church. Tim calls the place that has the car. They tell him it's the battery and the alternator. They tell him how much it's going to be. Well, thankfully, we were able to handle it. And they actually got our car fixed the next day. They only had the car from like 3 o'clock in the afternoon until 10 o'clock the next morning. So, you know, they didn't have 24 hours. They fixed it. We went and picked it up. Car's home. Everything's good. So that was our adventure, or better said, our misadventure on Saturday. So while we're just chatting here, we put up a video about riding around Columbus, and somebody asked the question, why did you go by Dinglewood Pharmacy without mentioning it? So I'm just going to go ahead and say it here. When I put the camera over to the window, it was very unflattering because it had a reflection of me, and I didn't like it, so I edited it out. But what we're going to do is we're going to try to go eat at the lunch counter at Dinglewood Pharmacy the next time Tim's off and do a review, and we'll have a scrambled dog. And you know, we know Dinglewood is one of the it's one of the oldest places. It has a lot of history to it, and we'll try to look that up and figure that all out. I want to know where the name Dinglewood came from. I want to know if it was a person or if it's just a place. I got to look that up and figure that out. But yeah, that loud noise was butterscotch. But that was our adventure, or our misadventure, and our excitement. Which, you know, excitement can be taken 2 ways, because, you know, I guess I should say that. I guess I should say it this way. You know, when you're in the kind of situation we are, the way that we live the paycheck to paycheck, and it's a choice we've made, you know, we could do something different, but, you know, this is what we do. We know where we want to spend our time. We know what we want to do. This makes it able for me to do this right here. So, it's like this. This has been my experience throughout my life. You can look at it one of 2 ways. You can either say, oh, the Lord blessed us to have the money when we needed it. Or you can look at it and say, why every time I get the money does the Lord cause something like what happened to the car to happen and drain all my money? So I'm going to look at it this way. We're blessed to be able to take care of the car. I know we still need to fix crack in the windshield, but again, I tell you, we live paycheck to paycheck, and this is going to set us back because we were on this building trend, trying to build up that emergency fund, and that's why we had part of the money, most of the money. We did have to have some help, but we'll have that handled next month, and then we'll go right back to starting to build again. But you do feel like you get set back and set back and set back. So I think that's what I wanted to say. I don't know. I'll probably think of something else I wanted to say. I need to just ramble, which I can do without so much worry and concern. But I have a hard time just letting go and just talking. I need a subject. I know how I am. If I don't have a subject, I go off the rails of a crazy train. What you want to talk about? Hey, we can talk about anything. Anyway, so that's it.